Welcome back aboard Blurred Force One with your boys Mo and Lottie, and this is the Supercast. The Supercast, where we talk about all things superhero in our pop culture media. That's, of course, movies, TV shows, video games. We talk about the news, do some speculation, all of that good nerdy stuff. And before we get into this podcast today, do us a favor, get down there, hit like on this video. So we're at the end of November. It is, Wicked's out. We're getting ready for Kraven the Hunter to come out. We're getting ready for Creature Commandos. A lot of good superhero stuff coming out in December. So we're eating good, as I like to say. Before we start talking about all that, let's welcome my good friend Lottie. Lottie, how you doing this evening, sir?
Oh man, I'm good, man. Had a great weekend. Also just happy to be back podcasting.
Yeah, that's real. Which is I've been doing a lot of it lately. Actually, oddly enough, it seems like in everyone's podcasting days. Am I wrong about that? Everyone's jumping into the water, so to speak. We've been at it for a few years now, but I've noticed some people that I follow on Threads, or they're making waves too. So you might see me show up on some other people's shows in the next few months or whatever. And also I got something brewing going on. Lottie knows what it's all about. It's going to be really fun. So you guys keep an eye out on Blurred Force One YouTube channel just to see what's going to come up. So before that, Lottie, what you been up to that's nerdy, man? Or was it just like hanging out, getting your party on over the weekend?
Yeah, it was just hanging out, getting a party on. I brought my I brought my Switch, but we were only in the hotel to do the three S's: shit, shower, and sleep. That was it. After that, we were outside the entire time. So yeah, nothing nerdy.
Okay, well, hey, I'll make up for it. Actually, I didn't do a ton nerdy this weekend. I went and saw Wicked, which was cool. I enjoyed it. I'm probably gonna go see it again. I know definitely my daughter she loved it, and she was like, "We're gonna go see the sing along." So I'm committed to go.
I want to ask.
What's up?
How much does it follow the books?
Now, here's the thing. I haven't read the book in a long time. Close enough, I guess. The musical, I think, focuses on some different things. It changes up a few things, but nothing significant. The whole point of who's really is she really a bad guy? That's really the whole question. There's a magical school like Hogwarts-ish sort of place. She ends
that
up
was all in the book.
Yeah, she ends up encountering the wizard, obviously. It's real. I mean, it's good. It's very funny. I think Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande do a great job. Jeff Goldblum is Jeff Goldblum. How he do. So it was quite fun. Very good looking movie. I do want to go check it out again. So go watch that. Why not? Actually, and it's superhero related in this sense. There is a sequence towards the tail end of the movie, like very end of the movie, that will make you think of Clark Kent. And you'll know when you see the movie, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's very cool. Beyond that, I have not been watching and catching up on stuff I need to, like Penguin or whatever. But I have been dialed into this whole Kendrick Lamar brand new album, which I can't get enough of it. I think the audio stopped you from saying it, so I'll say it for you. It's like mustard. It is such a funny moment. Like, not only because the album is fire. First of all, album is straight fire. Been listening to it nonstop. But remember Drake was like a lot years ago. He was talking about, this is like 2013, so like 11 years ago. He's talking about how Kendrick only makes moments, but not like he doesn't make like legendary stuff or whatever, which is foolish. But he said that, and then, of course, Not Like Us was a moment for like 4 months, right? 4 months of a moment, and then now the whole mustard thing, and you got like, you got Universal Pictures, posting it for a Transformers saying mustard. You got you got McDonald's talking about. You got all sorts of people jumping on this bandwagon. So I mean, K Dot is he's running the show. He's winning the game. And he's going to be at the Super Bowl, so obviously we're going to hear mustard there. So it's been a good weekend. So, but we are of course here to talk about superhero stuff. Plenty to talk about. Of course, I said we are coming up on a December that is chock full of superhero stuff. Kraven the Hunter, Creature Commandos, and of course, what is it? What If season 3? But also we have some news that we do want to talk about. In particular, Disney replaces an important character on their Marvel Studios banner, and some people think it may mean something. We'll investigate that. Disney is also up to some fuckery when it comes to Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur. They did some real cowardly shit when it comes to one of the episodes, and I'm going to express my frustration with it much more. Peacemaker season 2 wraps filming, and we get some confirmation from James Gunn about what Peacemaker season 1 is and how it relates to the DCU. Daniel Craig is in talks, it appears, to be in a DC property, possibly a DCU property. What is it, and should you be looking forward to it? The Boys season 5 begins filming, and we have to ask the question, how triggered are the conservatives going to be with this season? Marvel could possibly be working on a second season of a very popular MCU show. We have more rumors about the Young Avengers, which have of course been swirling for a while in the MCU. Where are we possibly going to see them next? James Gunn confirms the person that's going to be playing Frankenstein in Creature Commandos. And then finally, we have some talk from Kevin Feige when he was in Asia talking about the MCU and future projects. And he speaks on Thunderbolts and the eventual coming of the X-Men. So that's a lot of stuff to talk about. Lottie, are you ready, man?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, well, let's get into it. There's a lot of nerds with way too much time on their hand. Lottie, is that a fair thing to say? Nerds have way too much time on their hands. And they are going over with a fine-tooth comb every little bit of news or any kind of change, to the point where they are looking at like websites and being like, and they notice a change and they're like, this means something. This is so significant. So here's a little bit of us doing shit where we need to be stuffed in lockers. Lottie, on the banner for the Marvel Studios, website or whatever, it has a bunch of different characters, right? Just photoshopped into like a banner that says Marvel Studios. Right now, Sam Wilson is basically at the front, and then there's a bunch of characters, to the side. So the original one had a bunch of characters, and one of them was She-Hulk, right? Now, recently, some people noticed that the banner had changed, and now where She-Hulk was is Deadpool. And it has led to what I would very lightly say is some silly ass speculation, right? Lottie, what sort of speculation do you think a person that disliked She-Hulk thinks that means?
Someone that dislike, I mean, they'll look at it like Marvel is like I've seen people saying Marvel is erasing She-Hulk from their history, and I'm like, if they were doing that, they would have removed the TV show She-Hulk from what's it called, Disney Plus, but it's still there. So I don't. Like you said, I wasn't the absolute biggest fan of She-Hulk, but I feel like this is a little bit of a stretch. Like, I think they just removed She-Hulk from from the banner because Deadpool is right now one of the most popular persons in uh Marvel right now. He's one of the most popular. He's their last $1 billion movie, like straight up $1 billion movie. And to fit it on the banner, they just removed one of the characters that I mean, She-Hulk only appeared in a show, unlike all the other characters that appeared in a movie. So yeah, they're going to put Deadpool there, and I part of me kind of wish if they were going to reveal it that Deadpool like got out a bigger eraser and just erased her and put himself there, like he broke the fourth wall,
That would have been good. That's
and she would have been like, "Hey, what are you doing?" I break the fourth wall the best.
that. I mean, so yeah. That's really, to me, that's really where this is all coming from, because there's the people that don't like the show for various reasons. Most of it's culture war bullshit, but some people legitimately just don't like the show. That's fine. They're like, oh, they're erasing it. No, it's from continuity. That's ridiculous. Like, have some fucking sense.
Isn't she supposed to show up in Daredevil?
I would
My,
assume she's going to show up somewhere down the line. Eventually, she will show up in some, if nothing else, in Secret Wars. But there's so much like silly wishful thinking bullshit that's involved here, because this is the same group of people that are, swear to God, Kathleen Kennedy is on the verge of being fired from Lucasfilm. She's not. Just accept, look, y'all don't like this, cool, that's fine, whatever. This is literally just someone saying, hey, Deadpool Wolverine's big right now. What's a character on this banner that just hasn't been in use recently? And I can guarantee if you walk up and down that banner, every one of them have been in use more recently than She-Hulk. All right, cool. Switch out. Like, it's not
mm-hmm,
that serious. You motherfuckers will take the ball and run with it, even though there's no place to run. It's ridiculous.
mm-hmm.
This is why we got stuffed in the lockers, y'all. Like, just foolishness. Stop this. But one aspect of it, the reason why I want to bring it up is because this is just culture war bullshit. You get one group of people saying dumbass shit that's clearly for an agenda, then the opposing side, which is nominally our side, have to sit up there and either play defense or start, just basically dragging these people because they don't fucking know what they're talking about. They're just wishful thinking, out loud. It's tiresome. I was like, it's just enough. We got enough real problems for not to have to focus on bullshit like this. So, y'all do better. You won't, but please do better. So, also, speaking of Disney, they look. I'm gonna get on my soapbox for this, Lottie. I love Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur. I
Mm-hmm.
stand the show. It's excellent. And I watched the last season. There were 14 episodes. Loved all of the episodes. It's a great season, really. Come to find out, there was a 15th episode that I didn't get to see. How dare you, Disney? How dare you hold one back from me? And then I find out why they held it back. And it's a bullshit ass reason. It's because they're fucking cowards. It's like, for real. There's a lot of corporate speak about around this episode. A lot of wishy-washy bullshit talk. It all sounds like you guys are being cowards. Because it's about a trans character who has been in the show since day one. We just didn't know they were trans. We didn't know this young lady was a trans girl. And it's all about the hot button issue, which is trans women in sports. It's never about trans men. No one ever complains about a female to male transition person who decides they want to compete as a man. Right? No one ever. Lottie, have you ever heard anybody complain about that? But I haven't. It's almost as if this is about misogyny and not about actual any fucking, equality or whatever, right? Because this trans man should theoretically present the same problem, but the idea is that women are not as good or not as strong or not as whatever the fuck, as if hormones and shit don't matter. And also, in this episode, the girl is literally in 8th grade. I don't know if you remember, but in 8th grade, girls were bigger than boys. I mean, okay, so whatever. The whole episode's about that. I haven't watched it yet. I've been very busy, so I haven't got a chance to watch it. But the general idea here is that it's a trans positive episode where one of the members of the team essentially, they get outed as a trans girl. The daughter of, the mother of one of rival teams, one of their players finds out and makes this big ass deal about it, and then literally uses some technology or something to trap the volleyball team and Moon Girl, of course, in this little pocket dimension until she agrees to quit being on the team. That's the plot of the show, and the girls come together and they're like, "No, you're one of us," and it's acceptance of this trans girl, right? That's it. Okay, so here's the deal, Lottie. Everything I just explained to you, now replace trans girl with Native American or gay or, you know what I'm saying? Or, any marginalized group. And this isn't a problem, right? And this is all because this whole push against, trans women in sports. Whereas the episode was really just like, we accept you, you're one of us. You don't have to give up being who you are to be acceptable to us. That's it. That's the whole episode. All right. So Lottie, they pulled it. They're essentially, I don't give a fuck what anyone says, lying about the fact. They're saying, well, we just didn't do it for other reasons. No, you did it because you're scared of Ron DeSantis, right? And the whole, the whole anti-trans agenda. And now that MAGA is ascendant, they got, the government and everything like that. Disney is about making money. They don't want to ruffle feathers. This is that, in my view. I don't know. What were you about to say?
Actually, that's not true. The reason has nothing to do with MAGA. It has to do because Disney owns ESPN, and ESPN is predominantly women, and the women on ESPN have been very vocal about trans in sports. It will be a bad look. Yeah, that is the reason why. It's
Awesome.
because Disney owns ESPN, and ESPN has been very vocal. The women, because ESPN right now is pretty much ran by women, and the women on ESPN have been very vocal about trans and female sports. So it will be like a major contradiction. And the thing about it is, you could say, well, maybe Bob Iger is very, very involved in ESPN. So it makes 100% sense that they will do this. Like, they will be like, yeah, we're not going to air that because it will completely contradict what right now is their biggest moneymaker, ESPN. ESPN is like literally almost what's keeping Disney afloat right now because of the college football playoff, the NBA and all that stuff. And like I said, those women on those shows are extremely vocal about trans in sports. So it's that is the reason why. That is the main reason.
I don't know enough to say yes or no to any of that stuff. I mean, that probably is a part of it. I think the political climate right now obviously favors the anti-trans movement just because they have power and everything like that. But my God, just like have some fucking courage. That's all I'm saying. This episode, as far as I can tell, is very inoffensive unless you're a transphobe. If you're a transphobe, it's like people, what do they say, a hit dog hollering? Like when shit exposes you, and we've been seeing this over and over and over, in pop culture, when people get exposed as the villains, when they realize, oh, I'm the villain in this thing, rather than saying, let me look at myself. Why am I identifying with the bad guys in this. They instead say, "Oh, stop attacking me for just having my firmly held beliefs." All right, it's trash. Anyway, Disney, you suck. I already was mad at you motherfuckers anyway for canceling Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, but you guys really suck for doing this. I'm glad I pirated this shit. If you can find that shit on TikTok or whatever, go ahead and watch that shit on that. Fuck that. Pirate this shit. I'm saying they suck for doing this, and I'm glad it got out into the wild so that we could enjoy it. So, moving on, Lottie, to something a little bit more positive. Peacemaker season 2 has wrapped filming, officially. Over the last week, a bunch of different people that were on the show wrapped their part of the filming, but they finally finished everything off for the whole season. I believe they were in not Kansas City. Where were they? I forget where they were filming, but they were on location. I think it was Kansas City actually. And so now we have Peacemaker season 2 coming. So yay! But the other thing is, Lottie, you can rest peacefully knowing that all of the investment you put into season 1 of Peacemaker was not in vain. Nothing about it is not going to be canon to the DCU, except that Justice League cameo at the end. That will not be canon. Everything else is DCU canon. Are you feeling better now? You don't have to knock yourself in the head and forget about the things that you saw in that first season?
I mean, are we gonna? So we're gonna pretend like this was actually a thing? Come on now. Are we done pretending?
To be
Of course,
fair,
this was gonna be canon.
To be fair, James Gunn was playing like real coy about this shit.
Man, he could play as coy that man fucking watch, man. That man, he put so much love and care. Man, get the hell out of here. We knew that show was gonna be canon. I didn't even like sweat about it. There was like, if this was a conversation, of course it's canon. It's one of the it was one of the best things. Like, you got to think, at the time in 2022, one of the best things DC had in like and I want to say it was like a 10-year period. One of the best things they made was Peacemaker.
Yeah.
For them not making it canon would be even if James Gunn wasn't the leader, it would be just straight stupid. It's one of the best things they made. Definitely in the last 10 years. I'll put in the top 5 best things they made in indie because it's when it came out in 2022, since 2012. From 2012 to 2022. The bare minimum top 5 best thing that came out of the DCEU.
Oh, well,
by far.
That's not too hard.
How about
DC properties, period.
Oh yeah, I agree because you already know how I feel about the Dark Knight trilogy. Extremely fucking overrated.
Well, this does raise a question though. If Peacemaker is canon, does that mean the Suicide Squad is canon? Because it spins off. It spins off.
Listen, there are two things that are inevitable about the DCEU moving forward. 1, James Gunn, and 2, Viola Davis's what's it called?
Amanda Waller.
Madam Waller. As long as it's inevitable. And plus, we know it's canon because even if they never even mentioned, even if the show was like, oh well, we could have hide it, Amanda Waller literally said it out loud about what happened. So yeah, it's 100. If James Gunn put his pinky on it, it's canon.
Well, it has to be because Rick Flag Sr. is in Peacemaker season 2. And he is mad for why? You know why he's mad, right? Because his son's dead. Where did his son die? His son died in the Suicide Squad. So And also, let's recall, besides the fact that Harley Quinn obviously is not going to make the transition as Margot Robbie, everybody else in that movie pretty much was a newish character, right?
Wait, Margot Robbie's no longer Harley Quinn?
She's not going to be Harley Quinn. Let's put that to rest. I'm saying she's not going to be Harley Quinn. Now, prove me wrong, James Gunn. But yeah, everybody else in that movie pretty much could come to the DCU and it wouldn't change anything, right? Wouldn't change anything at all, because she was the only legacy character, that lived at the end of that movie. There you go. So I do think the Suicide Squad, at least most elements of it, are canon. So I'll be interested to see if James Gunn incorporates them in the future. So James Gunn was also talking about, I don't know if you saw this on social media. He is also talking about, hey, I'm not messing with Matt Reeves' universe. What are y'all talking about? Like, people keep swearing he's canceling Matt Reeves' Batman stuff, and he's like, why would I do that? For people are crazy. And he's also,
I swear people they want drama to exist when there's no drama. Why the fuck would he, once again, the Penguin just came out, and the Penguin, not just DC, in my opinion, just my opinion, it's the best live action superhero show that I have seen probably in my entire life. If it's not number one, it is definitely number two. And you think, and a lot of people agree, because the way that thing is being rated by both critics and people, man, you really think James Gunn is going to cancel that? Y'all need to stop being stupid.
He's saying, hey, unless you hear it coming from my mouth, don't believe it until you hear me say it. And I'm like,
all these fake ass insiders, man. I swear these guys are making me laugh.
So I'm like, he's like, the brave and the bold. It's, it's still happening. He's like, all this stuff, this is happening, but we don't put a dime into production until that script is on point. So he's saying that about all the projects. So fair enough. He's like, we're not set to a timeline. When the scripts are on point, that's when we get moving. All right. So this basically, he's saying like, hey, that whole Marvel thing with slates and everything like that, and setting when the shit's coming out, that ain't real to us. We're cooking over here. We slow cooking sometimes. So we'll be ready when we're ready. I respect that. Don't release if you're not ready. It's all good. So, good on him. I'm glad that he let us know all about Peacemaker and everything. So I'm looking forward to season 2. Of course, it's going into post-production as we speak. Speaking of DC, this is just a quick thing. Are you aware of DC's Sergeant Rock, the character?
I have no idea.
Yeah, that's fair. I really barely know. I know of him. I've never read about him, but it's a character that goes back to the war comics of like the 50s and 60s. Basically, World War II, it's adventures or, in World War II of this, grizzled sergeant who leads his little platoon, and they go through all sorts of stuff. Kind of think Sergeant Fury and the Howling Commandos, that sort of thing. Not the Howling Commandos that are monsters, but like the actual army unit, back in the day that Nick Fury was a part of in World War II. So something very similar to that. And it ran for quite a while, actually. Apparently, like some over the course of 30 years was a title that DC put out. So think, if you will, World War II sort of, adventure stuff, Saving Private Ryan shit. So apparently Daniel Craig is in talks or negotiations to be Sergeant Rock in a potential DC movie. And also it would be directed by Luca Guadagnino, which is, most people probably don't know who the hell that is. He is a bit of an auteur director. I'm trying to remember the most recent thing he directed. I forget. It was about people who were cannibals. And I forget the name of it, but it starred Chalamet as one of the people who were cannibals. So kind of our tour stuff, and of course we all know Daniel Craig. Everyone, lots of people know him as James Bond, but most recently he has been Benoit Blanc in the Knives Out movies, and a great actor. We all love him. So Lottie, I know you don't know nothing about this character. I'm just telling you, it's a DC thing. It could be a potential, like, think Captain America and Captain America the first Avenger, but like without superpowers, maybe. Would you be interested in that? Is that something you want to see with Daniel Craig at the lead?
That'll be cool. Yeah, that's something I'll be interested in.
Well,
Sergeant Rock.
I guess a better question is, would it be tying into, or how would it tie into the DCU? Because we're all thinking like, connected universes. I can think of one connection, one connection that would be, and that would be what's a GI robot that's going to be in Creature Commandos, who was actually a Nazi killing robot from World War II. So that could be a potential connection there. But I think it's interesting. I guess maybe my other question is this a sign that DC is not just going to be sticking with capes, but they're going to reach into their catalog of like weird stuff, like with Creature Commandos, it's kind of like horror, Western stuff. Maybe they'll go with, some of their Western comics, maybe some war comics. They could also possibly do some of the, weird space stuff. Like they're just not going to stick with capes. Do you think that's a possibility?
We'll see. I mean, it is a possibility. We'll see. Like at this point, after watching the Penguin, I'm fully on board. Pretty much whatever DC wants to do, man. If yeah, I am on board. This is I'm just we'll see. I I said I don't really know too much about these characters. It's sometimes it's DC is not just like you said capes, men in tights or women in tights or in metallic bras. There are characters who are very street level or ground level in the military that you could make a very compelling story about in the DC universe without having over the top stuff happening. And I'm down for it.
Yep. And then Superman drops out of the sky, like
You know,
like Sergeant Rock. Let me help you with these Nazis. All right. Well, we'll keep an eye on that. We'll let you guys know if anything comes out of that. I guess this is something that it makes all nerds happy, or at least all nerds of discerning taste, I would say. And that is that The Boys season 5 has officially begun filming. Thank God, because isn't that what we need in this political climate, Lottie? An entire season, an entire 8 episodes talking about how great it is that Homelander has taken over the United States. All right. Is that not something we all want to look at and marvel in? How great how great the United States is going to be now that a big man child is running the show. We want it won't reflect at all our reality. Yes, it's begun filming. I feel like they said what the first episode's title was. I forget what it is, but something about 15 inches of pure dynamite or something like that. Wonder what that could be about. So yeah, we're in for a ride, man. I definitely know that the writers room is just like sick to their stomach about how close to the reality they probably got, and because a lot of messed up stuff's about to happen. But I kind of wanted to ask you, how sick do you think conservative viewers are going to be this season? They were pretty sick last season, right? they were butthurt. They felt attacked. They felt like the show that they had been watching all this time had betrayed them and suddenly had made them the bad guys. Lottie, do you think they're gonna feel more inclined toward this coming season?
I mean, some of them might just be like, "Hey, whatever," you know. I'm down being the bad guy. I I'm honestly, with I think with this whole thing with the whole thing with this show is I don't really even care about Homelander. Like Homelander to me is not even the most dangerous character in the entire show. Like he's not. He's just a powerful guy. Most dangerous person in the entire show is what's the I forgot what the black woman's
Sage.
name.
Sage.
Sage. I could care less about Homelander. Homelander is nothing. Homelander is easily be beaten. It's Sage that is the deadly character. So we could say whatever we want. Sage got him to win, so he's pretty much president. But I just want to see I want to see what Sage is gonna do. That is what I want to see.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm definitely interested in how they're going to develop all of what I would call the stand-ins for real people. Obviously, Newman's dead, but when I mean stand-ins for real people, I mean who's going to stand in for all of you know, these Trump people? Who's going to stand in for all of them? Who's going to be represent the various factions or whatever? And I wonder how well are they going to predict the future of this of our world through this through this show, um, because who would have predicted the shit that we've seen so far? Like it's crazy. Some crazy stuff is happening politically, and I feel like art is gonna try to imitate life and not gonna get it quite right. But we'll see. I think this show. I predict this season's gonna be the lowest rated. Of the seasons we've seen so far, and it's gonna probably be partially due to review bombing. But also, like I said, some people are gonna get exposed, and they're not gonna like the way it feels. So we'll be interested to see what it's like. And if the filming has just started, I anticipate we'll probably see this sometime in the fall next year. Sound about right? Give it about November of next year. We'll see. We'll let you guys know. I'm sure we'll get a lot of behind the scenes pictures and all that stuff, and we'll talk about it then. So, speaking of another season of a show, Lottie, I was super happy about this, even though this is a rumor from Daniel Richtman, which, let's be honest, we can't necessarily take this as anything. But hey, I love this show, so I really, really want this to be true. But apparently, I guess talking to one of the directors of the show, basically the director, which I think his name was Reese Thomas, was pretty much like, well, I can't really say much because secrecy, but it would be really cool if there was if we could revisit that and everything, if we could, maybe go back to those characters, something to that effect. Which got people wondering, does this mean that Hawkeye is getting a second season? And I think Rickman basically said they are looking at, starting shooting sometime next year. I guess they got the story worked out, starting to shoot next year, maybe mid or late next year, with the idea of coming out in 26 or early 27.
Jesus.
So yeah, that's the world we live in. Now, given that Jeremy Renner obviously had that pretty terrible, near life-threatening accident, has been on the mend, has got, he's up walking again, everything like that, the lead time for this could make sense, because look, even with stunt people, he'd still have to do stuff, right? Even with stunt people, he still has to do some stuff physically. So having Hawkeye, having the person that plays Hawkeye being as physically fit and able as possible would make sense. So giving it some more lead time, to recover would be good. Also, of course, Haley Steinfeld, she's not exactly like, you know, just stalling and waiting for more Marvel work. And there's a possibility, of course, that a Young Avengers project is coming up in the future too. So there's all sorts of like wheels moving. But I want to say personally, I hope this is true because I rewatched Hawkeye for Christmas last year. Loved the shit out of it. Loved it more than when I first watched it, and I'm planning to watch it again for Christmas this year. So I desperately and definitely want this to happen. Lottie, I know you didn't like it as much as I did. What do you think? Do you think this is a real thing, and do you want even a season 2 of Hawkeye?
Man, if what you just said about when we're gonna get this is shitty. Man, what 2027, bruh,
It's almost 2025, man. Like it,
bruh.
we are
That's
30
three
some
years from
days.
now. That,
Mm.
bro, that's three. That okay.
It's
It's
not.
still 2020.
Well,
That's
look,
3 years from now, bro.
early 2027. So look, early 2027 is about 2 years and a few months. Like early, I consider that like January. Kind of
Bro,
like
I don't
when
even
we got
know where I
Echo.
will be in my life 2 years from now.
I
Like,
mean, we might
bro,
be living in Mad Max in the United States by that point.
like,
It's a distinct possibility. So like, yeah, but look, we can't just stop looking forward to superhero stuff just because, there's going to be an apocalypse in the United States. Like maybe they'll move Marvel Studios to Europe and we'll still get movies. I don't know while while everything goes to hell here. Uh Being more serious though, like it is 2 years is not much in terms of produce. Like for TV, yeah, but Marvel Studios doesn't make TV like regular TV shows. They make TV like they're making a movie, and they expect you to shut the fuck up about it for a couple years until they get ready to make a second season. So I don't know, man. Do you want to see this though? Like if they do make one, is that that's something you want?
I wasn't too much. I didn't really care for the first one, so I'm like, I don't know. I'm not that excited about this, especially with like you said, 2027. It's just like, I mean, I guess I don't even know where I will be in life. I might be married and have a kid by then. You don't even know. So it's just like, man,
I think
I guess.
I think you ought to revisit the show. Personally, I think everybody ought to revisit the show. I think in hindsight, I think you'll see a lot more than you did the first time. But that's just me. I really like the show, so I hope this is true. I'm gonna keep an eye out. Hopefully, we'll get some kind of confirmation in the near future. Speaking of Kate Bishop, as Yelena likes to say. Young Avengers is a thing now. Lottie, you haven't watched Agatha all along, I'm assuming, but let's uh, you know, uh, Billy Maximoff has been introduced. Tommy Maximoff is out there somewhere that they got to find him. We have Kate Bishop, obviously. We got Miss Marvel. We've got Stature. Scott Lang's daughter, Cassie Lang. We potentially have Iron Lad, which of course is a Kang variant, or it could be who knows what kind of variant he is. So all of the elements for Young Avengers are essentially falling into place. And we've been, ever since the end of the Marvels, where they kind of teased Miss Marvel looking up Cassie Lang and then talking to Kate Bishop, there is this idea that this is going to happen. Well, rumor according to I think Daniel Rickman again, is that instead of doing a movie, aka the smart fucking thing to do, they're gonna do a Disney Plus TV series. And this seems to be a result of basically Disney being gun shy, or because the Marvels tanked, and so they're not gonna take real real chances, I guess you say, with these newer characters or whatever, any real big money chances with them. And also, they're talking about renaming it from the new Young Avengers to the Champions as a way, supposedly, to avoid the possible like downward effect on the Avengers brand if Young Avengers turns out to not be a success. So there's a lot going on there. Lottie, I mean, we're getting the Young Avengers. Clearly, they're setting that up. But do you think that this is a good strategy? Like, should they even do this? If why,
I mean, at this point, can you even call them Young Avengers anymore?
that is another thing they were saying.
Like the actors and
Kate,
actresses at
they're
this
like,
point are like almost 30.
Kate Bishop is in her second or third year in college. The only real young people are Cassie, who is in high school. Kamala Khan is in high school also. Billy is in high school. I believe I think he's 16 at the end of Agatha All Along. Who else? I mean, his brother's the same age. They don't. I mean, so you see, everyone is technically in high school, except for Kate Bishop. She's the only one that is actually in college at that point. So it makes sense. But the Champions. The whole bit about the Champions is they were a newer book where basically the Young Avengers became that, but they also have Miles Morales in it. So which we do not have in the MCU. So I mean, I get it, but they're making a TV show. Where's the money in that, Lottie? There ain't no money in making a TV show. There's all you do is lose money putting shit on Disney Plus, unless it's for a decent budget. And let me just tell you, given all the powers of everybody that's in the Champions, how you make that on a good budget for TV? Lottie, please help me out. How do you do it? How do you do it without a movie budget?
I mean, you're really not. I mean, how many people are going to be in it? Like 10?
Let's just say conservatively. Right now, let's say we don't use Iron Lad. So no Iron Lad, but potentially, and also Riri Williams could be a member of it. And she is in college, right? She is. So instead of Iron Lad, you have Iron Heart, right? So you'd have Stature. So you have Miss Marvel, Stature, Hawkeye, Kate Bishop, Hawkeye. She's the only regular ass person. Oh, also Eli Bradley, who is basically a super soldier. So there are two people who basically have no powers and they don't need CG. But Kamala Khan does. Stature does.
Ant-Man's daughter.
Yeah, Cassie Lang, she needs it. Billy Maximoff needs it. Tommy Maximoff needs it because he's a speedster. He's basically he's like Quicksilver, right?
And what's the woman that can punch through dimensions?
Oh, America Chavez. I almost forgot about her. Oh, America Chavez. She definitely got powers. I mean, a lot of her powers is she's super powerful, super strong. But in the MCU, we have not seen that. Did you notice in Multiverse of Madness, we never saw in the comics, she's mad powerful. Like she'll if she can punch her head off, like she's super, super strong. But we didn't really see that in the Multiverse of Madness, but we do need CG for that. So how do you pay for this? That's my question. Just explain to me how you gonna pay for this. Because if you don't have a movie budget, where the movie budget will at least be 150 million. Where all right, now you got money for real budget for CG. If you spend that same amount on a TV show, you'll never get that money back because there's no ticket sales.
If all these characters in the one movie, there's no way it'll be just 150 million. Like in my opinion, this is one of those things that is just
you do a movie or you don't do it.
I wouldn't actually just do a Young Avengers because it's just if you're going to have that many characters in one movie, just make an Avengers movie.
The idea I think it would be to have them have a trilogy of sorts, some kind of trilogy, either a one or two shows and a movie or something like that, so that they kind of like wrap up a like tiny an internal story. And there are some storylines that could involve them and that would work. I'm just saying, from a financial perspective, what the fuck's the point of this? Why would you do this as a TV show? You are not going to make your money back from this. You just aren't. Agatha,
only way they're going to be able to do this is if there are characters that are blatantly just written off each episode.
or
one of the characters can't leave class or something.
Yeah, that, or they're gonna have to like do it all practical. Like Agatha All Along was done on a really good budget because pretty much it was practical. It was
but the thing about here's the difference between Agatha All Along and this. In today's day and age, it's not that hard to make magic look practical. It's just Marvel was just getting way too ridiculous with their CGI budgets. Magic is not hard to make look good with practical effects. You have a character that can literally punch holes through dimensions. You have a character in a giant female iron suit. Another character that has like cosmic elastic powers. I could just go a character that could shrink size. Like you can't practical that. The only way you can make this into an actual show is if you literally like 70% of the cast is written off every episode. Like they will have to find the dumbest excuse why they can't show up. Like they're stuck in class, or one of them has a project, or like what's her name? Suit's not working. Like it would have to be something. Like it would be like corny. It'd be a corny reason why some of them can't show up.
But even then, it's noticeable because it's whenever you like they did that in Iron Man 3, but they had a reason for him not to be in his suit. Like say he spent most of the movie not in his suit, and it was fine because there was a story reason for it. What's the story reason for these people not ever using their powers? I mean, if they can do it, I'm just saying, why not just go with the movie? Stop being scared. Like there's a theme going right now. Y'all scared as hell. Like no risk, no risk, no reward, man. Like get on it. And because I'm tired of this fucking idea that, man, we just got to go back to the ones that worked before. Well, if that was the way you acted in the first place, we'd never have any of the MCU because none of this shit worked until somebody tried it. How about try and just try to make something good? This shit is ridiculous. Like
it's just it's unfortunate now. It's just either Disney is just getting a raw deal because of how they fucked over a lot of CGI companies, or they're just bad at budgeting movies. They are just, if you look at a movie that is made or produced by Disney, their CGI budget is through the roof compared to anybody else. And I mean anybody else that's making a comparable movie. Like I said, I don't know if it's that CGI companies are like, yeah, if we're gonna work with us, work with you, you're gonna have to pay us double or triple because they've just fucked so many people over and they're so hard to work with, or they just don't know how to budget. Because I said, I've seen movies that look better, that look just as good or better as any Disney movie has came out in like the past 3 to 4 years, and their budget is like or a quarter of what a Disney movie will cost.
We've discussed it in the past. The part of it is the way that Disney makes their movies is it's not locked. Like the script isn't locked, the previs isn't like they haven't fully realized or visualized what's going on, and also they don't just do reshoots, they retool. Sometimes they completely retool a whole movie because test screenings aren't good, right?
Yeah.
So that's expensive. Budgets get high for that reason. Having to go back and literally reshoot a bunch of shit or shoot new scenes or bring cast back and crew back together, that costs money. Whereas we saw, and comparing this to DC right now, under James Gunn's so meticulous about his process, about planning, to the point of storyboarding the entire fucking movie, right?
It's like think about it. Like let's just think about it. It's just to show you just a Marvel, because I think we saw this Guardians of the Galaxy 3. So yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy 3's budget was 250 million,
Mm-hmm.
right? If you heard, that sounds very conservative for that movie. You know what I mean?
There was a lot of CG in that. Like, there's a
Like
ton of CG in that movie.
yeah, for the movie to be 250 million, you would think that's like a 400 million dollar movie because of like the man blew up a planet with CG. Like, you know what I mean? Like that is a very conservative number. And you can just go down the list of like movies that I've seen this year, like even a good one right now that everyone's talking about. I haven't seen it, but like everyone says, like the CG in the movie is like ridiculous. Wicked. It's 140 million, 145 million dollars.
Mhm.
Everyone told me the CGI in the movie is top notch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And this is about the process by which the studio makes things. And if you are not 100% sure about what you're making, if there's changes, if there, the budget's gonna balloon if you're not coming to work with the plan in place and not gonna change from it. And like I said, that's what James Gunn, he doesn't do. He doesn't play. He when he's ready to shoot, he knows, right? He knows exactly what he wants, top to bottom, front to back, and there's no question about it. Whereas we've heard about some of these things where, and even in Sony is really bad for this, of rewriting the fucking movie while they're shooting the movie, which you're asking for budget overrun. So all that being said, they need to make this a movie. This might be a TV show. I think that's a bad idea, but I will watch it obviously, because Marvel. It's Marvel. I'm gonna watch it. So we'll see. We'll let you guys know if we hear more about that in the future. So one last thing about James Gunn. This is just real quick. You may have noticed. You know who the bad guy, the guy that I could be wrong. Maybe I'm doing one of those things where I get a person confused. But I feel like, remember the guy that played Mr. Was it what was the guy from Deadpool and Wolverine that played the TVA guy? I forget the name. I want to say Mr. Nobody, but I don't know if that's true.
I can't remember.
But he was, if I'm not mistaken, he was the bad guy in Deadpool and Wolverine. Now apparently, he is also going to be in the DCU, where he plays the voice of of Frankenstein, or I guess you say Frankenstein's monster, whatever, which is coming up very soon. Now, Mo, why are you talking about this? Why do we care? It's just a dude doing a voice in a cartoon. Because, Lottie, remember when he cast people in Creature Commandos, what did James Gunn say about these people? He said they would also play in their live action version. We've already seen this. We've seen behind the scenes of Peacemaker. Frank Grillo is on set as Rick Flag Sr., right? And he's going to make his DCU debut as Rick Flag Sr. in Creature Commando. So that means that this, and I'm going to say his name, Peter Serafinowicz, I think I'm saying that right, is going to be Frankenstein's monster, which means possibly he's going to get the Herman Munster treatment and get those little plugs on the side of his neck and get a big flat top. So and let me make sure that this is the same person that did that actually did Deadpool, because I feel like I'm right though. Either way, we got our live action, I think, Frankenstein. What do you think, Lottie? Are you ready to see Frankenstein get down in live action DC?
Well, one of my favorite like movies I saw like back in the early 2010s was I, Frankenstein, when Frankenstein was like fighting demons and stuff. I am so down to see Frankenstein pop off doing badass stuff. I've always liked seeing like characters from like those like old like I don't want to say grim fairy tale but old like I guess like dark horror or dark like fantasy stuff. I like to see them like retrained and
Mm-hmm.
become like heroes, like you said. Like I've seen Dracula do it. I've seen uh Frank. I've seen like other characters that I really would like. I've always liked the thought of like Frankenstein becoming like a ninja assassin of like
Well,
demons and monsters or something.
remember they made that movie where I forget it was Aaron Eckhart played basically Dracula's monster, and he was like a superhero or something like that. Not a superhero, but he was like a hero or some shit like that. So I do
Yeah.
remember that, and I was wrong about that. He was not in Deadpool and Wolverine. You know what he was in? Remember John Wick Chapter 2,
Oh.
where John Wick goes and he says, "I'd like to talk to the sommelier," and he goes in there, and that's the guy that's outfitting him with new guns. He's the guy. He's the
Yeah.
guy. He's the gun guy. So that's cool. He was also in Guardians of the Galaxy. So this only makes sense to me. The fact that he was in Guardians of the Galaxy, I get it. Because what does James Gunn do? James Gunn collects actors like a Pokemon, like a Pokemon. He's like Ash. He's like once he gets you in his movies, he'll just throw that Pokeball out and someone will pop up and they'll be in a new movie for him. So I mean, this makes sense to me now. He's the who he was in Guardians. He's the guy that said that the Guardians were assholes. Remember that guy from the commercial, the trailer of it? He's that guy. Yeah. I think this is dope. Like the more now that I'm like looking at this dude's credits. I'm like, yeah, no, this is gonna be dope. I'm ready. Let's go. Let's go, Frankenstein. Let's get it. And I'm actually really anxious to see to hear his voice and how they present him in Creature Commandos in like a week and a half. So looking forward to that. We'll let you guys know more about this if this is if he does indeed come to live action. So finally, our final thing is we got to talk about some MCU stuff, which we're always talking about MCU stuff because it is the big bad boy on the block. But we got new stuff coming up soon. 2025 is going to be an important year, I think, for Marvel to kind of get back on track, if you will. We got a preview of sorts, coming from What If season 3, but starting in January, there's animated stuff, there's live action things. Marvel is trying to get itself back to where it was before. So, with that being said, Feige was in Asia talking about, he was at a conference. I can't remember what it was, but the point is, he was talking about MCU stuff. And one of the things he was talking about was Thunderbolts. Lottie, he's likening Thunderbolts to something like Avengers or Guardians of the Galaxy, like characters from other places that are all brought together as an ensemble to kind of do some sort of mission or whatever, but it's tying together different parts of the MCU where we've seen them previously. Do you think that's I don't know, having not seen it but going by the trailer, do you feel like that's a fair assessment? And is he setting the bar maybe too high for this movie, or is he setting good expectations?
I'm kind of scared of whenever Feige says something because remember this is the same guy that said that he thought what was it again? The Eternals was better than like an Avengers movie. I'm like, yeah,
Oh, he said it's one of the best things that Marvel's ever made. And
uh,
to be fair to him, I don't think he's wrong because cinematically speaking, it's probably one of the more interesting things Marvel's ever done. I'm not saying that the story is like the best story that's ever happened in the MCU. What I'm saying is that in terms of pure cinematography, scope and scale and the thought behind it, it certainly took more chances than most Marvel movies. I would I would argue that generally speaking, it's trying harder to be different than most of the other movies are. And whether or not it succeeds or fails in terms of the story to you, it is a pretty cool looking movie. So anyway, that's what he meant by it. So I get what you're saying. You're saying, oh, you're not sure if you like him touting something like that to kind of put expectations to a certain level.
I love. I just my thing is I want movies to be pleasantly surprised, pleasantly surprisingly good again. Like I don't need actors or I understand. No, I'm not saying you shouldn't promote your movie. I'm just saying I don't need actors to say it's one of the best things you've ever seen or anything because all it's going to do is it's going to, and you could say it's fair or not fair. It's going to make people more critical of the movie than it should be. Instead of just saying, "Hey, you'll have a good time watching the movie. Go out and watch it," and all that stuff. That people just be like, "Okay, I'll go out and see it," and then it turns out to be great, and you're like, "Oh my god, it was way better than I thought," and
Right.
then it that goes out better than think about it. When you're telling someone about a movie and you're recommending it, what sounds better to people? It's oh man, the movie's way better than I thought it was gonna be. Or um it's not as good as they said it was.
Yeah. Now, well,
Even the
I get
movie
it.
could still be good. The movie could, you could say yeah, it's a good movie, but the fact that you said it's not as good as they said it was,
Hmm.
it's going to make people not want to watch it. That's
That
why I feel like let's go back to movies being a pleasantly surprised. Like, you know what I mean? Stop. I don't get like leave all that. Oh, it's gonna be a great movie or it's gonna be one of the best. Just leave that alone.
I think, unfortunately for Marvel, for the MCU, that that horse has left the barn a long time ago. Uh, Managing expectations for the MCU is it's really hard because people are still like, well, why aren't you making stuff as good as Avengers Endgame? And I'm just like, yo, that's not possible. You can't hit home runs every time you go up to bat. That's not how that works. You can. The other thing is, Feige and them are most definitely looking at these stories and thinking they got something. So, they're human. They don't make the right decisions all the time. Sometimes what they think is great doesn't necessarily translate to a wider audience, and that's fine. Like, I would like for the MCU to get back to the place where, making $500-600 million is good. You remember those days? Remember those days when Captain America didn't make $450 million, and we were like, "Yeah, this is a great win for comic book movies." We need to get back to that point where it's okay that they're not making $1 billion. That it's okay
Well,
that they're not
uh,
cracking 900 million. And yes, budgets have to come down to
yeah.
accommodate
Until
that.
yeah, I mean, we can't say that until they get their budgets under
Yeah,
control.
but they have to.
Like for
They do have to
example,
come back in line. You're right.
like for example, Wicked making $600 million is an absolute win. Not
That's a huge
because
win.
Yeah, not because not because Wicked is not a franchise that can make $1 billion. It's because its budget is only $120 million. $600 million is making a good amount of profit.
Right.
That's why it's like you just said. The reason why Captain America, uh, Captain America, the first Avenger, was a win because think about it. Let's just be honest. Captain America, First Avenger came out today. They would not make Captain America 2 or 3. They would have said it's shelved because they would have had this massive, probably 200 to 300 million dollar budget, and it only made 500 to 600 million, and they'll call it a failure
Yeah.
because it is a
It
box
is.
office
I mean,
failure.
it is a
That's
failure.
the problem.
Even if
That's the
creative,
problem.
even if creatively it's not a failure. I mean, we saw that with the Marvels. The Marvels does quite well on streaming. It's creatively not a failure, but financially
But it's a
is. Yeah,
$300 million movie.
and
It's
and,
just
and that's fair. Like
it had to be $1 billion movie.
yeah,
And that's the
as a
problem.
person that as a defender of the Marvels, I will admit the budget was too high. That's just it. So I do like the idea of coming back to a mid level, sort of,
And
result.
they could do it. They just don't want to right
Yeah,
now
or
because
it can or won't. You
Yeah, they
know,
just won't. I think it's a more of a they won't do it because I used to think like I was one of those people that was saying, man, movie budgets are just getting ridiculous, but more and more studios are just making Marvel like just I'm just gonna be honest, they're making Disney and Marvel look stupid. And I mean in both and it's not and I mean in general, Disney in general is way over budget in everything they do. And I don't it's going from live action to animation. You're looking at like I said, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish didn't even cost $100 million to make. And Disney's and Pixar's almost doing $300 million in budget. Like,
yeah.
yeah, it's great. Like I said, it is absolutely great that Inside Out 2 hit well. It needed to hit because if it didn't hit, oh my god, Pixar would probably be a skeleton crew right now.
Yeah, I mean, well, I mean, we could go on and on about that. That's definitely budgets are a problem. I think Thunderbolts won't have that problem because almost no one has a real good power except like Bob and Ghost. Everybody else is pretty much just a super soldier. So, and whoever they're fighting, we don't really know that who they're fighting yet. But whoever they're fighting, I'm
They
gonna
said it's reportedly 150 million.
yeah.
So
That's
yeah, they can.
a good budget for a
That's a
superhero
good budget. And
movie.
yeah, if that movie makes 600 million, hit.
Yeah, I'm literally that's Ant-Man 1. Ant-Man 1, people sleep on it and they don't really think huge amounts about it, but that movie made money because its budget wasn't that high.
I have
So,
no idea how. Just a real tangent. How is the best movie in the entire Ant-Man trilogy the least watched? That shit bothers me. It bothers me. I know people still to this day have not watched Ant-Man 1. Like,
it's
how the
just
fuck
like
have you not watched the best one in the entire trilogy?
how they just look, it's slept on. Ant-Man in general, the trilogy itself is slept on, but in particular the first one. So, I mean, but 150, that's good. So I do like the idea of like, hey, this is this and a come together ensemble. That sounds interesting. So we'll see what's up with that. He was also talking about the future of mutants. He said, Lottie, get excited. He said some X-Men, and he said pretty much this. And I don't think we're over exaggerating what he said, but some X-Men characters will begin appearing in the next few movies. Now, next few sounds to me like, what's the next three are Captain America, Brave New World, Thunderbolts, asterisk, and Fantastic Four. So we could potentially be seeing, some well-known mutants just kind of show up. I'm not saying that they're going to be hugely important, but just kind of show up the kind of the way they've showed up in the post credits, or like in the Marvels. So Lottie, are you looking for? Look, the new age of mutants is upon us. Are you ready? Are you ready to hear that X-Men theme every time one of them pops up on the screen?
Listen, I'm so jaded with this. Part of me thinks when they say this, it's gonna be a technicality. Like, well, technically, Red Hulk is a mutant, so like I'm so jaded. I'm so fucking jaded right now that I really think they're gonna pull some BS and say, well, technically, this one character is a mutant. Wanda is a mutant.
Like
I
technically.
just I'm just like a part of me
Well,
just literally,
but
bro.
he's saying X-Men characters, so I mean, yeah, Wanda, but she's already been in the MCU, and she's not officially recognized as a mutant. In fact, mutants aren't officially recognized as mutants in the MCU. So, but he's talking about actual X-Men characters. Now, here's the thing:
Well, here's the thing, though.
are they actual mutants, or
No, well, no, no, no.
are they
Here's
peripheral
the thing.
characters?
Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing, though. He's already not lying.
Yeah. Oh,
X, yeah, X Deadpool and
yeah.
Wolverine. He
Deadpool,
already told the truth.
but
He already
also,
told the truth.
in Captain America: Brave New World, Sabra in the comics is a Israeli mutant. So
That's why I said he technically has already told the truth, and it's going to be a bunch of like it's going to be a bunch of technicalities. You're not going to see Storm and
we
Cyclops
are well,
saying
we're getting Storm,
X-Men
but just not.
Among Us.
We're getting Storm, but she's in, she's in What If. So
Yeah.
not really, but yes. I'll be interested because I'm like, I want to take him at his word and he's not gonna be BSing us there. So we'll see. But he also said that Secret Wars is essentially the start of the mutant era. The movie Secret Wars. It leads into the new mutant era, and that after that, we will see the X-Men properly come into the MCU. Which is, first of all, what the fuck, man? That's all. I just really want to ask that. Remember when they bought? Remember when Disney bought Fox? Can you believe it's been about 5 years?
It's been a half a decade.
It's been 5 years, right?
Yeah.
And Secret Wars is
As long as they've announced the new Blade movie.
look. See. So 2026 or 2025 next is I think 2026 is Doomsday, right? And so you're talking about 7 years. You're talking about 7 years before an actual X-Men reference or whatever comes into play where the mutant era starts. And I'm like, God dang, y'all are taking your sweet ass time. Because from what I can see, I don't see how they couldn't have started this earlier. What they were talking about, they had a 5-year plan. Remember, Feige was like, well, we have a 5-year plan already in place, so you won't see them, for at least 5 years. It's been 5 years, motherfucker. Where are they? I'm just curious. What's so important about all of these other projects that y'all couldn't have started? Y'all started cooking. Y'all should have started cooking back then. It's kind of like, you pull up to a Wendy's drive-through and you like, man, I really want that Dave's double and some fries and a Frosty. And they're like, cool, let me turn the Frosty machine on. And you're like, God damn it. Come on, man. Turn it on now? So I guess it's going to take another, 3 hours to get the Frosty working. Man, get out of here. I mean, I'm sorry I'm being salty about this, but like, for real, why is this so hard? Lottie, why is it so hard to get the X-Men in here? Is it because they've taken 5 years to figure out how do we logically make this a thing without having to basically say that everybody in the MCU was fucking blind or something like that, or without pulling a Doctor Strange erasing Peter Parker situation? You think that's what's going on?
Do you want me to answer the question as Lottie or as Cyclops?
Cyclops. Let's go.
It's because you guys don't appreciate you. You don't appreciate us. You only want us when you need us. You only care about us when we come to save your asses. Oh, it's so convenient now that all of a sudden you're talking about us when you're not making as much money, huh?
I mean, they are gonna be. I think the X-Men, when they come to the MCU, are gonna be box office Viagra, basically.
Yes.
Yeah, pretty much. The kind of the way Deadpool and Wolverine have been. It's just so weird it's taking so long. So I don't know. I guess let me apply while I'm going to stand in line to go get my ticket for X-Men, the first X-Men in the MCU. I guess I can fill out my AARP form too at the same time, because it's gonna be a minute.
It's gonna be around the same time as we get the, Mahershala Ali's gonna be in a wheelchair swinging around a blade.
I think when the X-Men first debut, it'll be the day after Mahershala Ali's Blade premieres in theaters. So
never. Okay.
Yeah. maybe when Kane comes back to the MCU, when Jonathan Majors comes back, then we'll get the X-Men right after that. So, oh man. Anyway, we're gonna keep an eye on this. We'll let you guys know all about it if and when we get some more information. So, with all that being said, that's all of the news for right now. But what did you guys think about what we had to say? Maybe we missed something. Maybe you just agreed, disagreed, or you just wanted to say something nice. Get down to the comment section, leave your thoughts there. And of course, you can always hit us up, supernotfunnyshow@gmail.com, blurred_force1 on Instagram and threads, super_not_funny show on TikTok. And while you're doing that, do us a favor, get down there, hit like on this video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell. All that good stuff helps to grow this channel, helps more people to see videos and podcasts and all of the other content that we make. And of course, I can't do this by myself. My good friend Lottie is here to provide not just commentary, but some insight and knowledge of, just like a good comic book lover would. So that, Lottie, where can they reach you on social media?
Oh, you can always find me on my Instagram, which is also my Thread account, is Anukinihoon, and YouTube account, by the way. Anukinihoon, again, it's Anukinihoon, Anukinihun. Again, it's Anukinihun. Yeah, if you find me on Threads and I'm talking about some stuff about Naruto or some things in comic books, I'm always down to have a conversation about stuff. Don't ever think that I'm attacking you guys. Whenever I talk and debate, I'm literally just having a conversation. I I guess nowadays, because a lot of the way the internet is, it's just some people think that if you immediately respond back to them, they think you're attacking them, and it's like, no, I'm not. I'm actually having a conversation with you. That's all it is.
Right.
So, guys, don't. If you find me on X or Twitter and we have a discussion that we don't agree on, I'm not attacking you. I'm literally having a conversation. So, just
All,
wanted to get that out there.
yeah. And also just stop being wrong. And then, if you weren't wrong, I wouldn't get in there and tell you you're wrong. But oh, internet never ever change, except please do, because seriously, some of y'all need to like go outside. I swear to you, there's a real world going on outside. I've seen too many people getting butthurt about stupid things in the world. The people are butthurt about Wicked. They're butthurt about a black woman playing Elphaba. They're butthurt about all. There's just a bunch of dumb stuff.
That is
Like
the weirdest thing because
it's
everybody I know, black or white, who has read the books, all literally told me that they always thought, I call her Elphaba, but
yeah.
Elphaba. They all were like, yeah, this sounds like a black woman. Like it just sounds like I like when I read the books, like I even gave it to one of my friends to read, and they were like, yeah, this just I depict her as a black woman.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
it's just weird. People are, like I said, we're in the middle of. Well, we're always in a culture war. That's just the truth. People.
Why is this girl to help
Yeah.
I train my dragon a black girl? Damn it!
I mean
The movie's
that
not even
part
10
that
years
part too.
old.
I didn't even want to jump into all that, but yeah, it's a bunch of dumb shit. We're always in a
Why are
culture.
you
We're always in a
why are
culture
you
war.
changing the source material? The source material's not even 10 years old, buddy. God
It's
dang.
but you get it. It's this is the time and place we live. But we're always in a culture war. We're always trying to wrestle for who directs the culture, because whoever directs the culture directs social moral ideas or whatever like that. I get it. There's been a tug of war for as long as we've been alive, and this is just another battlefield. So to that extent, yeah, we're gonna fight it out. We're gonna duke it out. But I really think that some people could stand to just fucking lighten up. You know, like chill out. You'll be all right. It's a character in a story, and if you have a problem with the character in a story not looking like you, it's a fucking you problem. It's not the character's problem. It's not the storyteller's problem. It's a you problem. What's wrong with you that you can't stand to see someone who doesn't look like you? I don't give a look. In Bridgerton, there's a bunch of black people playing roles that historically don't make any fucking sense. It's fine.
It's a fake it's not
It's
real.
fictional. The shit's fine. This
Oh,
is a
don't even get me started. I remember I got on Threads is one more like on Threads, the whole like Arcane,
mhm.
how Arcane is really good at like depicting black characters, especially women. This one woman, all this woman said in her thread was, let's give credit to the studio, Arcane, making depicting black women in such an amazing, stunning way. The first comment says, "Why does everything have to be about race? Why can't it just be a good character?" And I was just like, "There's always gonna be that one person that just is like, oh my god, bro,
They're
just."
pushing it back against that. I think the look, like I said, it's a culture war thing. If you normalize beating down people, showing any kind of like appreciation or pride or whatever in that, then you make it so that people don't ever comment about it at all. And so then the only thing that's ever remarked upon is the quote default, and the default is surprise, surprise, the white folks. Which I mean, cool, that's the way it is, but like people have to understand, me saying I appreciate how well they portray us is not racist. It's not racist to point out, hey, that hit me in a certain way because of representation matters. If you feel like it's racist, it's a you problem. Once again, it's not a problem with the person saying that. It's a you problem because you have a problem with someone saying, hey, I really appreciate that about that they're showing that. In the same way, if someone said, I appreciate that they portrayed Italian American culture correctly, and if I came in and said, why is all it got to be about Italian American and stuff? Why can't it just be American? I'm being an asshole. You're being an asshole too. Understand that. That's all there is to it. And if that bothers you, trust me, we'll be happy to drag you for it. It's all good. Like if that's your kink and you like to have people, shit on you on online, okay, have fun. Uh, that being said, this is episode 162 of the Supercast. Thank you for joining us, and even on our little side tangents and everything like that, talking about all of this superhero stuff. We love it. We appreciate you being here and listening to us, because you guys are the reason why we do this. We love talking about this stuff, and we love interacting with you guys. So catch us on our social medias, if you will. Support the channel, all that stuff. We're getting close to 500 subscribers. That's cool. And just tell people about us. Let them know. A couple of guys have some really cool things to say about superhero stuff. So until next time, I have been Mo, your comment extraordinaire on all things pop culture, joined by the anime expert, video game designer, and lover of all things superhero, my good friend Lottie. And we'll see you guys on the other side of the thread. Peace.
Peace.